Now, in advanced mode, there's a couple settings. Hell on your computer and send your computer into a reset loop. If you don't do it this way, it's not gonna do true RAID 0. Hard drives, 170 megabytes, we're flying at well over 14,000. Thunderbolt card next. Do not use the gigabyte drivers for your Thunderbolt 3. You'll set your computer on fire. YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, welcome. All right, so today we're building the computer. My name is Jimmy. I go under DJ Infect. I also go under DJ Infectious. You can find me on YouTube. Check me out. You can see that I make awesome music. Click the link below. Today, let's build the #1 computer for professional audio in 2020. Marketed as render time irrelevant, the 3960X by Ryzen Threadripper. 24 cores, up to a 4.5 gigahertz clock before it can really be overclocked, which it does automatically. We're going GeForce 2070, which is, in my opinion, supreme. We're going with this huge case because I want to get into water cooling, which is super cool in audio. You know, we got the Trident Z Neo RAM down here, which is off the hook. Bottom line, CL16, going 124 gigs right off the bat, super fast. And we're hitting the Designare TRX40 Designare motherboard, which is super awesome. We have PCIe 4 Express, so we're gonna be putting all sorts of super fast M.2 cards in. We have combiner cards, and best of all, we have Thunderbolt 3 in our Windows-based computer, all right? So that's gonna be awesome. Awesome power supply, the HX1200i dual rail module, so every cord is plugged in individually. Really great stable power source, does all sorts of really cool things with the motherboard. They work together to overclock the computer right when, you know, you go to hit record and you're rendering and doing, you know, streaming, and you're really hitting all these Ableton and Tractor apps and everything's going. Like for me, I'm running 32 in, 32 out tracks on my Antelope. I also have the mix pre for recording. That's getting maxed out. So all said and done, the computer has to be able to keep up. And on my old computer from 3 years ago, my Intel that I fully brought it to the max, just couldn't handle it. That's why we're taking things to the next level today. Okay, first things first. First thing we want to do, make sure you have your custom tool set, all right? I know, I like the word custom, but you're gonna need it. Next, you wanna make sure proper fans. Ventilation in this system, uber important. I'm gonna do a couple things. For example, we're gonna take the top right off. All right, let's just go ahead and set this down. Next, get these bolts off. Pop this baby open. Down in here, you're gonna see there's airflow. See how it can go through? So there's actually airflow there, beautiful things that can help us do wire management. Furthermore, you have a big octagon here. And then under here, which I'm curious if you guys can see, you're gonna get additional airflow. So I'll bring the camera in and let me show you guys right now. You'll see that's where the motherboard should stick out. And then you can go ahead and pull these here, allowing you to have all of your connections right through the top of your unit. Got the two fans. You can have them positioned one way or the next. Little wire management, and yeah, that's under the hood. Just scrolling around a little bit here, and you'll see there is some USB or USB 3C, depending on how you'd like to switch them out or use what's there. So these sides right here normally are meant for your radiators on your water cooling. Up in here, some extra drive space, which I like because as we know in audio, more disk space, the better. It also has phenomenal airflow on the bottom of the case. And then on the inside, there's lots of space to put other items. And you have another fan here on the top. Furthermore, just turning it slightly, you'll see these side panels here, and it's just gonna let more fresh air in. So this case is totally open where you're gonna get maximum cooling, and the size of it, as you can tell, it's pretty much, you know, half the size of me. So the good thing is that there's gonna be plenty of fresh air inside your case, and it's not gonna be cramped or hard to make upgrades or work within. These are splitting wires for the fans to get extra fans put in your case. All right, and then just taking you guys up this way, I've installed one fan there. Got another one down there. All right. And then in the opposite direction, as you can see, they're both facing the same direction to pull and push the air. Got another fan kind of rigged in there, ran out of screws. And over here you'll see got a fan that's gonna be like so, and a fan that's like so. We got our Designare. There she is. CPU, RAM slots. These are for additional SSDs, M.2 slots, and all of the connectivity you could ever wish for. Right here, you have your Thunderbolt 3 for Windows, add-in card. So we're gonna be able to get 4 SSDs in here, all using its read and write speed together for ultra fast super speed. Let's go ahead and get our first M.2 installed. We're gonna be going with the 1 terabyte. This is more or less for our operating system, run some of our, utility things in the background. Dude, look how small this is. That's my finger. Look at this. It's nothing. Let me just see if I can. So it's really, really thin. So now, this particular unit has its own heatsink that can be bought separately, and I took them up on that offer. So here is your thermal paste. Okay, this is a pretty heavy-duty heatsink for your hard drive. So is this, by the way. We'll get into that one in a little bit. Let's go ahead and peel. Let me go ahead and peel that off. In here, you really got to get it right because you need to be able to screw this in, as well as the heat sink itself, so you can still plug it in. Kind of press it in a little bit. Okay, that's your thermal paste heat sink combo. Now, it's going to have another side that's going to help hold this together. So if you move your computer, it doesn't come flying off. Let's go ahead and let's peel. Line that up. You really want to get it just right. Inside the box, they've cleverly put a screwdriver, 4 small screws, and a super small. So you got to kind of angle it up. And once you get your first one in, we'll make your life pretty simple. We're going to go ahead and take this off. And let's, we're using the middle one. So right here. So I just actually took this off too. This one's longer, this one's shorter. Our card is short. So we're going to use the shorter version. Kind of see there. Slips in pretty easily. And here, pop, you're in. All right, so it looks like it fits. Just triple check that the screwdriver works, that we can get it in there comfortably. It looks like we can. Nope, not going anywhere. Super heatsink installed. Moving on. Now, let's put this guy back on so that we don't have to worry about that. It just clicks right in here on the top. Underneath, let's put you back right in. Okay. And we're gonna put our cards in, but first, let's get our CPU going. God, breaking the seal. Oh God, doing better work. No duds. No duds. And there she is. She is coming out slowly but surely, making her way out of the box. Oh, lots of layers. And yeah. And you'll notice that there's this plastic thing. We will be using it. So, but yeah, Ryzen Threadripper, real deal. 3690X. Makes me proud. All right, and let's just go ahead and check the box, see what it came with. Looks like it's got its wrench. It's got a special wrench here. It actually tells you when you've put it in far enough, which is really awesome. Nice feature. And it has its brace, good for fans and whatnot. Now we're gonna do our CPU. Beautiful. All right, this is the Ryzen Threadripper 3960X, and it's gonna go in this socket right here on your motherboard. Your wrench you have to use this exact wrench. It does have more of a universal bottom. However, it's spring-loaded in a certain way. Furthermore, directly on your CPU, it's gonna be numbered screw number 1, screw number 2, screw number 3. You have to follow exactly what it tells you to do. There's a lot of safety protections in this, so I'm gonna walk you through each one. So let's go ahead and unscrew the first one. Okay. Let's go ahead and unscrew the second one. And the reason why they do this is because all the pins have to be properly secure. Okay. And let's go ahead and unscrew the last one. As you can see, it's starting to come up. All right, and it pops, right open. In here, there's 2 blue clips. Just go ahead and unclip it. All right, pop that right up, like so, and it comes up like so. Those pins, don't drop anything on them. Don't touch them. If they get damaged, kaboots. Now, there's going to be a plastic piece right here that you can pull out. All right, and that is actually going to be replaced by your CPU. So let's go ahead and pull it out, and you'll notice one side, there's rails, is a little longer than the other. Reason being is because it has to match up. You can see the orange, it's going to match up perfectly. All right. Let's go ahead and pull this out. Okay, you just clip it, and it pops. Pull it like so. Let's go ahead and place this like so. Black thing on the bottom falls off. There's your bottom of your CPU. Okay. And then go ahead and grab it nicely, carefully, and make sure you're going inside the rails. And nice if it just went. Let's do that. All right. We're inside those rails, and it's just going to go ahead and slide right in. All right. As soon as you have it secure, oh, there we go. So once it's slid in, make sure it's pushed all the ways down. Let's go ahead and repeat that process. There we go. Make sure that these are clipped in just so. Push this down, and let's turn to the right. This is number one. Once you get it started, start going. And you're going to hear a click. Like so. You're going to do number two. And then number three. All right. Going and doing that turn. All right. So 2 hands. And we are done. Here's our RAM. All right, let's go ahead and open it up. So we're going to go with 4 slots to start. And then while installing your RAM, there's certain slots that they're supposed to go in. We're going to take these Trident Z Neos, 128 gigs of RAM, CL16, and we're going to go ahead and install them in the TRX40 Designare. Your RAM, super fun. This is going to help you load multiple programs and do multiple things all at the same time. For example, when you're in Ableton and you're running, let's say, the Hand of God, where you have, 50 plugins going at the same time connected to a MIDI controller, all of that's going to be going through a tremendous amount of equations, all being processed in your RAM and then delegated through your CPU. Furthermore, your RAM's going to help when you have multiple programs. For example, if you're running Tractor, Ableton, and your audio interface all at the same time, as well as recording and then streaming on YouTube, your RAM is where it's at. Super important, and we all have plenty of other things open all at the same time. So you definitely want to make sure your operating system can have some dedicated RAM and the rest of your system can have some dedicated RAM as well. Let's go ahead and get these installed. There's 8 slots on the Designare. So we only have 4 sticks. So on the Designare, you have to go with the 2 outside slots, skip 1, and then the next 2. Make sure everything's lining up. And it's a firm click on both sides. You're gonna hear a firm click on both sides, and then that latch, see how we're opening the latches, should automatically close. Sometimes, if your system's not booting correctly, it's most likely because your RAM is not chassied correctly or pushed in enough. But make sure we're lining everything up. There we go. Let's open the next package. Gonna go. Kind of hard to tell on these pieces just because they are identical on both sides. So you just gotta really look for that groove. There we go. Click right in. And lastly, all right. Now that we have our RAM installed, we're going to go ahead and we're going to work on our PCIe 4 Express slots. First, we're going to be installing our Gigabyte GI Titan Ridge, which is our Thunderbolt 3 connection. Like so. Very simple. It lines up. Now, as far as our bigger card, before we go ahead and pop that in, what I'm going to need to do is I'm gonna need to install the rest of our SSDs. So these are the M.2, 4 of these together. Inside this is gonna give us a combination of all its read and all its write speeds together. So just flipping it over, I see that there's some screws here. I'm gonna take my super small screwdriver. I'm gonna go ahead and just pop off some screws and see if that gets me into the base of this thing. Now, a normal screwdriver definitely will not work. These screws are super small, right? We're popping this thing open here. We are not seeing a spot to install the hard drives until we flip it over. Go ahead and, now this is actually a massive heat sink. And once you peel it off, you won't have to add any extra thermal paste. Using the thermal tape, it's already there, and it's made of a very special material that will help us keep our hard drives as cool as possible. Super important. Let's go ahead, take this off, okay? And now this is going to give us a sticky bottom, but again, this is all that thermal paste or thermal tape. We're gonna take it and we're gonna insert. Again, you just look. I mean, they make this stuff really easy. Just go ahead and insert in, give it a little tug. That's how it's popped in. Now, we're gonna go ahead and just lightly bang, and you're in. Thermal tape connected. And when we're done, it's gonna look something like this. Got all 4 going here. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and peel that protective layer to our thermal paste slash strip. When you put this part on, you're gonna wanna kind of line it up using 2 hands like so. All right. Just go ahead and give it a good kind of push there so it sticks right to your SSDs. All right, flip it over, and then your outside plate, and then we're gonna go right back to these very annoying screws. I don't know if you can see that, but they are really small. It requires a very small screwdriver. All right, let's go ahead and line this up. A lot of building a computer, super easy. Lining it up, following, really everything's kind of plug and play. The retailers really don't want to deal with the refunds, so they make it super easy to build, and it's great because you wind up saving yourself a tremendous amount of money by building it yourself. All right, let's go ahead and screw these in. So now that we've got our 4 SSDs properly installed, we're gonna go ahead and put this card into the motherboard. Match it up, boom, boom, everything's keyed, so you should be just fine. Done, that's it, it slides right in. We're gonna go ahead and put our Thunderbolt 3 card in, all right? We're gonna just go ahead and pop that in, simple as pie. Boom, done. We're gonna be doing our graphics card last. Take it out, pop it in, simple as pie, okay? Next, we're gonna go ahead, just throw our heatsink right in here. It has actually grooves for it, 2, outwards, inwards. So this would be more or less for if you have a circle fan. But this contraption right here that goes on is much, much, much bigger and much, much more powerful. Now, couple things. 1, 2 brackets. One is longer than the other. There's, again, the screws further apart. You're here, bang, bang, right? Now, it comes with these screws. However, did want to quickly mention, this is the B22 that actually has holes here and here, okay? And it comes with the screwdriver to stick in, and you're gonna see just in a sec, to go ahead and screw these screws in down here. You want to make sure that the set you're getting comes with the screwdriver, okay? Let's go ahead and get our brackets done. Brackets go sort of like this. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, don't forget, you're going to need to use your thermal paste. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do this small bracket first. So small bracket, bang, with your other screw. All right, let's screw this in. Get it down, kind of back and forth, tighten. Good. Next, pull these out. Let's get our bracket in. All right, like so. And let's go ahead and just give that a nice little screw down. Make sure you're not stripping anything. Kind of feel when it's in the grooves. It's going to go almost 90% in. I'm going to take this one, tighten it. Let's go back. Tighten it in. Okay, you are good. Now, on your dark rock, okay, you're going to have this guy. This guy, there's going to be 2 slits here, okay, like so, okay. There's like a plasticky thing, all right? But let's go ahead and add our thermal paste. Let's go ahead and use this box. And you can always take it back off and, you know, switch your thermal paste later. Have fun with it. But, like I said, I got better things to do in my time. Now, it is good to switch your thermal paste. They say you can go a couple years, but, you know, you can do it every year. 2 years is fine. I went with something, you know, more reliable. And okay, let's take this off. Okay. Now, the pattern in which you do doesn't really matter as long as you get everywhere. Reason being, on the Ryzen Threadripper, you have 1 core where you have, you know, 6, 6, 6, 6. So they're actually spread out. And then in the middle, you got some stuff too. But you don't want to put too much where it's going to go over the sides and possibly get underneath the CPU. So you can do it in different formations. I'm going to go like so. I'm going to do the smiley face. Okay. And let's give that smiley face a nose. All right. And then let's make sure our smiley face has a proper border. And I think we pretty much covered everywhere. Let's just make sure that give it a little bit of a bigger nose. All right, that should be sufficient. We can keep going. And yeah, I think we're gonna probably even out correctly. Let's just make sure there's no spots left that it has a chance of missing. We'll just put a little bit extra near those corners. Really want to make sure that every spot is going to have thermal paste. That looks like plenty, probably too much thermal paste. Any more than that, definitely too much. So let's just see how that goes. Close the top. All right. Now, here's where it gets tricky. We have this loose bracket, as you saw, easily can fall off. Make sure your wire is comfortably out of the way. Double check where you're going to plug in the wire to make sure that on your motherboard, there's going to be a header called sys fan. So that's going to be important. And then there's going to be another header over here. I don't know if you can see it. It's called CPU fan. So since this wire is going to be plugging into it, we want to make sure our dark rock is faced in the right direction. Again, a lot of this stuff is plug and play. Had you put it on this direction, our wire is going to have a tough time getting to the other side. Let's go ahead and do like so. Our screws line up at the same time, making sure that everything else lines up just like a glove. Just go ahead and tighten this one up a little bit. Okay. That is on there. Did want to point out that the Be Quiet Extra fan will be going in the middle, and then there's brackets that will go on that. So we still have to do that. And I want to focus on our power supply, all right? So this right here is the HX1200, has what's called a platinum rating. So it's actually a very good rating as far as saving power and doing the job with clean energy, very clean power. So it's module, dual rail. So we're going to be powering our video card and our motherboard separately, as well as it's really good at those micro voltages so that when your PC needs something really fast, it's perfect because it knows exactly how much power to offer. Excellent for overclocking, excellent for stability, plenty of power for this system. Your CPU in itself may draw 500 watts on the Threadripper 3960X. So you really want to make sure your power supply is superb. Furthermore, if I was going to run my water cooling through this system, or if I was going to overclock, I'd be using 2 power supplies. Now, the power supply is a funny thing because it comes with a lot of wires. As you can see here, I have wires in all different spots. So let's go over it. Now, the reason why I'm going to plug all of this in here is because I want to see the computer start before I install it in the box. Now, this one is used for your, it's called like a Corsair link. And that is something that we're not going to be using. It's sort of like a hub for your fans and for your water. If you go water, which I don't recommend in professional audio because the water gets clogged, it starts to give problems. So we want as stable as possible. That's why we went with the Darkrock Pro 4. So we're not going to be using this one. Furthermore, you have your PCIe, okay? They're labeled, and these are going to be used for your video card. In our case, we have the Glen Ridge. So these cords right here are CPU. They say CPU. We're going to need power to our CPU separately from our motherboard. You can get away with just one, but since we're going to be exceeding 300 watts and our CPU is probably going to average around 500 watts, you really want to give it both. That way it has plenty of sufficient power on the Threadripper series. So let's go ahead and plug that in first. And I just wanted to point out on your power supply, it's actually labeled CPU. Now, any of these 6 boxes can be used for CPU or your PCIe. These boxes down here are your SATA boxes. So that's going to be for like old hard drives. That's going to be for possibly lighting, CD-ROMs. And then this is your 24 pin down here. Let's go ahead. Let's plug in the CPU wires first. So, and again, everything is well organized. Now, they're all keyed. So if it doesn't fit, you know that you have the wrong spot, correct? And let's just try the other side, see how that works out. And again, does not work. And up here, works, all right? It's all the ways in and it clips. You're gonna hear a clip. Let's go ahead and put this down. Let's go ahead and plug it into our motherboard next. CPU 1. All right, make sure it's nicely firmly in there. Let's go ahead and grab our CPU again on the side, CPU. And gonna go into our power supply, small rail. Let's go one directly next to it. Should be good. And let's go into our other CPU. 24 pin is the really long, really big one right here. And the 24 pin looks like that. That's going in our motherboard. And on the other side, there's 2. And that's going to be going into our power supply. So, and you'll see on your power supply, it's labeled 24 pin. Let's go ahead and do the power supply first. So it's kind of done where it's like so. And again, everything's keyed, so you can't accidentally plug it in somewhere it's not supposed to go. All right, bang, bang. And let's go ahead and get into our 24 pin in the motherboard. There we go. Finesse it a little bit. And we are in totally secure. For your PCIe Express lanes, actually, let me show you on the Gigabyte card for the Thunderbolt 3, the GC Titan Ridge, right here is going to be your power source. Now, here's the thing. Let me show you, because this also complicates people. There's actually, it's a three-way wire. This side goes into your power supply. The single side goes into your power supply. All right. Now the other side, these are sort of optional. So they come apart, and depending on, the Express card, right? Because these PCI Express lanes are universal. They could be used for hard drives. They could be used for your adding cards. They could be used for Thunderbolt 3. They could be used for just about, USB 2 adding cards. They could be used for internet. So if you need faster, like a 10 gigabyte, 10 nit gigabyte internet connection, you can add an adding card for it. And all of them require different amounts of power. So sometimes you have to combine two of them together. Sometimes it's just a single. Sometimes it's all four mixed together. You'll be seeing some things that are combined. For example, like our Glen Ridge. Let's just go ahead and plug this in so you guys can see how we're going to do it. We're going to be plugging the first one on top. All right, bang. And then we're going to take our second one right here, and we're going to go ahead and plug that because it has two of the 6s, none of the 2s. And we're going to go ahead and plug that in right here. All right, so we're all ready. But once we install, to throw our TB header in, which is the small one, and then we have our power. And now looking at our module, power supply, there's a spot for PCIe Express right next to the CPU. They're actually universal and interchangeable. And then we can go ahead and just plug that straight in like so. But let's go ahead and we're going to do that later again after we see the whole system boot up. Let's put that aside again and do that later. So this cord right here, this is another one of those PCIe Express cards. This is going to be used for our graphics card. So here you'll see, and again, another one of those, this one looks like it's a SATA top. And again, on your power supply, it'll say SATA and peripheral, right? And just showing you once again, it fits in, there's 6 here, whereas the PCIe / CPU is 8. These are 6s, goes in. And what this is going to do is these are going to be your connection for like your SSDs, right? So these go into your SSD hard drives. These can, in some cases, be some sort of, super fan hub or some sort of lighting. So that's what those are used for. And then more often for your lighting and for your fans and your water cooling is your Molex, okay? And it's going to work exactly the same way. You have your 6-pin, which goes, into those 6-pin on the module, and you're going to be using it for that. Furthermore, you have a second. So let's say you have a whole bunch of hard drives. You can use your second cable. The connection looks like that, and it looks very different than these, which is your Molex, okay? So hard drives, 99% of the time, and your water cooling / fans and all of that with the Molex, okay? So there's a whole bunch of these in there. You can just put them aside. If you have external hard drives, then you're going to be using those. Furthermore, it does come with one of these wires, which is a Molex to more of a smaller 4-pin, and that's what's also can be used to plug in one of these hubs. This is sort of a universal power supply, so it has to fit, from 2020 all the ways back, the different types of configurations that have been out in the past. Now, on the fans, because it's, again, we're on the subject of power, this comes with a splitter, okay? The Darkrock Pro comes with a splitter wire, and it's kind of funny because these things come with so many wires, but not just even the Darkrock, like all of it. The motherboard is going to come with wires, Darkrock's going to come with wires, your power supply is going to come with wires, and you just have to sort of organize them. If you're not sure what they are, you can look them up on Google. And what this wire is for is the split. So here's your main power to your fans. Here's the extra fan. It's gonna go in. We're gonna bracket that in a second. You're gonna wanna face it in the same direction as your other fan, okay? So let's just say this would be wrong, so, right? So we wanna face it in the same direction. And now, once it's in, so it goes in the middle of your Dark Pro, all right? And we're gonna wanna face it so the wire's out. Okay, once that's in, like so, we're gonna go ahead and plug it into the splitter, right? Splitter in. Now we have this interesting connection, and believe it or not, this does not go into the power supply. This from your CPU, there's gonna be a header on your motherboard, and that is gonna be for your CPU, all right? And you can notice it's all coded for you. And actually, if you look really closely, there's a slot where it slides in and it clips. In the end, you know, in your BIOS and whatnot, in your system, they really do need to talk to each other. And when you have a 4-pin versus a 3-pin, so for example, like right here, I have a 3-pin, and actually technically it's more of a 2-pin. If you look on the inside, that's a fan that's just basically just gonna take the juice and just run with it, but it's not gonna have any ability to be controlled. When you have the full 4-pin, and it gives the ability for the fan to get additional information. Next, I wanted to quickly go over plugging in our Glen Ridge TB header. So this right here is our Thunderbolt 3. On the back, it has a TB header. Goes in, there's a wire that it should come with. Plug that wire in, bang, to the TB header. And then from there, after it's put into your case or into your motherboard, you're gonna go ahead and there's a little spot on your motherboard that's gonna say THB_C. And again, for different motherboards, there's 2 different ways to connect it. Now, I'm not gonna push it in all the way. Reason being, I wanna see if the system starts and posts and get Windows going first, and then we're gonna go ahead and have our Thunderbolt 3 as well. So let's go ahead and just pull this out. All right, just wanted to kind of show you guys how that worked. You're gonna see a USB to USB. That's gonna go right there, if you can see it. So that's in. And then now this right here, our USB wire, will be going, and I'll show you when I go to install this, on the motherboard, there's a USB 2.0 header. So that'll be going there. This needs a lot of power because Thunderbolt 3, you can do like 16 monitors, okay? So this thing is ultra, ultra, ultra power hungry. You know, mini display ports. You just got the works in here. So, and as far as your audio interface, this is it. So you're really gonna get that boost, constant power. All right, let's put this aside once again. All right, let me go get the graphics card. Up here, I'm gonna open this up. I'm gonna get our monitor, and then let's put it all together. Let's hit the power button and cross our fingers. We did everything correct. All right, see you in a sec. All right, I pulled my RTX 2070 out of my old computer that I was using it because before I built this, I had to see what it would do to an older Intel. And oh boy, was I impressed. I went from not being able to do audio and stream on YouTube to being able to do it flawlessly because this guy is gonna handle, the RTX is gonna handle 90% of the streaming on the inner workings of the video card versus taking up your CPU. Furthermore, Ableton ran better, my computer ran better, YouTube ran better. You know, it's really an absolute genius invention. And, you know, in a lot of older computers, just upgrading your video card and your RAM alone, you're in good shape. But we'll be going over that shortly. So I need to get this guy in here. And then, as you can see, I have the TV up behind me, which I'm going to be connecting the video card to see if we're going to post to Windows. Because we're going to use this as our little test bench before we install it into the case. Make sure all the components are working. So to put our RTX in, it's very simple. We're going to go ahead, turn this around. I'm You know, it's getting the very limited space I have to work. A little tight, okay? Let's move this way, okay? So let's go ahead and get this in, preferably on the first slot. There we go. Now we are in. All right, so that's it. I did want to show you guys how it plugs in. As you can see right here, there's 2 power connectors. There's also the ability, if you pull this little door off, to connect multiple video cards together, which this motherboard can handle. And also in the back right has an additional connector for power. So if you ever want to do 3 or more video cards, in some cases for overclocking even a single video card, you may want to take advantage of this extra power source. All right, before we plug in the power, I just wanted to review the RTX 2070 Super power requirements. Give it 2 independent wires from the power supply. Now, you're going to be utilizing one of the 6 pins on one of the wires, as shown here, in this slot, as well as you're going to combine one of the 6 pins and the 2 pin from the other wire into the 4 here, creating a 4 pin, like so. Go ahead and plug our 2 pin in. Now let's go ahead and plug in our first 6 pin. And now, using our second wire, let's go ahead and plug in just the 6 pin on top. Double check that everything is properly in. If anything is loose, the system itself will not start. So right now we're going to be doing a test with just the essentials, the video card, the CPU, which is underneath the heatsink, right? And our RAM and our motherboard. And now let's connect our monitor, which you can see to the upper right, directly into our video card. So I'm gonna have to just turn this in one of our ports. And what's also really cool about this video card is it does give you a virtual reality USB-C port, but that USB-C port is almost as fast as true USB 3.2 USB-C, but I would not recommend it for most cases. But if you want it to use it to power certain things, you can use it for that, which is nice to have that extra USB-C port if your computer currently does not have one. Okay, so let's go ahead. We're gonna make sure we're on the O over here for off. And let's go ahead and take our main power cable and let's plug this thing in. I'm actually gonna also go and grab our Windows installer. Let's make sure we do not cause a fire. And this is definitely getting down now to the moment of truth. Making sure that this guy works. And we've done everything correctly. Make sure that all of the parts from the manufacturer work correctly. And of course, if it doesn't work, it's not our fault. We call the manufacturer and complain. All right. We're gonna go ahead and just plug this in. All right. And then quickly, I'm gonna go ahead and grab my Windows card. All right. Earlier today, I bought Windows Professional. Reason being is Windows Home only goes up to 128 gigs of RAM. And since this system can comfortably process 256 gigs of RAM, I wanted the ability to upgrade in the near future because more RAM, the better for professional audio. So I have Windows here. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna plug this in to our USB Type-C. This is a super fast external hard drive, 2 terabyte. More space, the better. Believe me, you will use it. All right. And cross our fingers. It looks like power is going through it. I haven't started the system yet. The RAM seems to be doing something. It is indicating that all 4 RAM chips are connected correctly. The next step for us is going to be starting the PC. So let's go ahead and hit our power button. generally when you load a system this powerful, especially on the Ryzen Threadripper, because it is so powerful, it's almost like starting, you know, a spaceship where it needs to have a couple, you know, a couple starts in the beginning, especially to really give it that full 100% start. We haven't even put a keyboard and mouse in yet, but I just want to see if we post on screen. Well, we know our fans are working. Going on and off. 06. Aha! We've done it. Look at this. On the screen, we're seeing the Gigabyte logo show. And this is an absolute blessing that we've made it through our first Threadripper 3960 build. We've posted, and from what I can tell, it's asking for an operating system, and it's asking if I want to set up Windows 64 or 32, and it seems to be loading files on its own. Perfect. It's doing its thing. So let me go ahead, let me grab a keyboard and mouse, and it looks like we're right into Windows setup. And yeah, awesome. Awesome. Good job, guys. Good job, everybody. I told you it was super simple. Do it there. Just do it yourself. It's super simple. Awesome. All right, everybody. We are live. We just went through our celebration. Now let's get the keyboard out and let's get the mouse. So I had bought a small, you know, nothing too special keyboard, just kind of getting Windows installed and the simple stuff. So let's go ahead and plug this in, and then I'm going to grab the mouse. Go ahead and get that wire open. Nothing, no reason to wait around. I know we still have a lot to do. You know, we still have to, you know, bracket our fan. We still have to place this in the case, but still want to see if I can get Windows installed while it's here. Make sure everything is working. Okay, so I'm plugging them in to the regular USB. Looks like the keyboard lit up just fine, which is excellent. Now our mouse, so as you can see, I chose the one with the circle pattern, and this particular mouse has the replacement plates, so you can actually switch it for the style side panel that you like. So I'm gonna go with this mouse. Happy with the Trinity. Perfect, look at this. Instantaneously working mouse. I see my mouse here. Keyboard we already know lit up. So let's go ahead, we're gonna install Windows. Next, I gotta turn this off for a second. Let me put the product key in. I'm gonna hit next, and I'm gonna turn you back on. All right, welcome back. We got our product key going. Let's go ahead and accept our terms of agreement. This is just really how simple this all really is. Next, now we're gonna click, so this is up for upgrades. We're not gonna be doing that. We're gonna do custom, all right? So we can install it into the drive of our choice. And we're, right now, we are most likely trying to see. So the 2 terabyte down here is the USB adding card. The 32 gig is some sort of, I guess, onboard system space that we don't want to install into. It's some sort of USB. But this top one is exactly where we want to start Windows. We want this to be our start drive. This right here is the 1 terabyte that we had installed before inside of our M.2 slot. Let's go ahead and choose that option. So the first option. Boom. If you notice, the CPU fans are not even turning on. It's super quiet. Reason being is because it's doing a very good job right now of installing Windows without even really touching the CPU. It's like barely in use right now. So that's actually really impressive. Just as we're talking, I mean, I think we're pretty much under a minute, maybe 2 minutes max. Windows looks like it's installed. It's probably gonna do a couple updates. I'm literally staring at a stack of Eurorack gear that I can't wait. I got some over here, but I got a whole stack of stuff that came in the mail. I can't wait to get in. I have this awesome video I'm gonna be showing you guys. It actually shows the superpowers of having a professional mixer with your Eurorack. All right, so we're gonna be having a lot of fun with that. All right, cool. So let's pick our location, United States. Say yes to that. Computers are a little too smart these days. US, keyboard layout, yes. Want to add a keyboard layout. I really don't care. Okay, cool. We are connected. Sweet. We're gonna set this up for personal use. I mean, guys, you can do this. This is easy. You saw my video. I've never built a Threadripper before. This is my first time. Super easy. Save $2,500, super easy. Let's add your email. Okay. Sweet. Okay, we only really want the location, just so like weather reports and maybe local discounts at food and whatnot can find us. So that's fine. You know what? We don't need this, so we're gonna click no on that. We're gonna keep our stuff pretty private. That we don't have an Android, Apple, my phone. Yeah, like. Back up your files with one. Okay. I guess that had a skip button, but okay for now. Nope, we're not going to try Microsoft Word. We have a paid version. We deal with that later. Let Katrina get things done for you. Nope. So in professional audio, once we have Windows installed and the basic setup is complete, one of the most important things is optimizing your PC for your professional audio needs. What that means is there is so many automatic things that are running in the background of your Windows and so many useless things that you don't need running that actually interrupt Ableton's performance. And not only can just eat up extra resources, but also interrupt things when you're trying to stay in time and you're trying to run, your computer and do 50 different audio things at the same time, 32 tracks in, 32 tracks out, multiple interfaces, 100, plugins working all at the same time. There's so many different things. The last thing your computer needs is to be focusing on bloatware or outside tasks that has nothing to do with professional audio. And, there's also settings out there that can cloud your sound, that can confuse your USB, that can confuse your Thunderbolt. So all of those things need to be disabled, including power options. So, these computers, they try to save power quite often. So what it will do is it will actually lower down your power consumption on your USB ports. Well, if you have a MIDI controller going, it might stop working. Or if you're transferring all this data through your Thunderbolt, say, oh, okay, well, right now, they haven't been using this one MIDI controller or this one, audio interface for a little bit or whatever, or is using it, but you know what, we can save a little power, and they just automatically downgrade the quality of your work. So to avoid all of that, we'll be talking about how to change your BIOS around, how to set Windows up, and make your computer for professional audio performance. And there's a lot of different things online about it, but after, doing it for as long as I have my own way of doing it and it works perfect. So we're definitely going to be doing that as well. Let's go ahead and turn this back on. Let's see if we get to Windows. So there she goes. Moment of truth. Number 2. All right. Got another screen. That's positive. Let's see if it boots to the right drive. If not, we're going to have to go into BIOS. Ta-da! Voila, we have a fresh Windows. Tomorrow, I'm gonna wake up, we're gonna get this installed in the case, we're gonna make everybody happy, we're gonna get this video out there. You guys are gonna learn a ton about, this system. There is individual videos on every single part I've used and why I've chose it. There's close-ups on the motherboard, really going in depth of the power of the motherboard. Furthermore, tomorrow, when we get it in the case, we're going to be working on getting our Thunderbolt 3 card installed, the GC Titan Ridge. right? And then where all those cords go on the motherboard, as well as we're gonna get our super speed hard drive in here. These little tips and tricks just make all the world of difference, and it allows you to buy things right, buy it once, buy it for the first time, and you know, be really happy, you know, get what you need the first time around. Anyways, all right, see you guys tomorrow. We'll pop in the case, we'll get it positioned in our studio, and yeah, all right, gonna get some sleep. See you tomorrow.